With Pitch Black hitting its 25th anniversary and Riddick Furia on the way, we figured it's the perfect time to go back to where it all began. But here's something you might not know. Pitch Black was never actually meant to be part of the main Riddick story, even though it's technically a prequel, and a really good one if we do say so ourselves. So how did it end up kicking off an entire franchise? That's exactly what we're diving into today. Ready? Let's get into it. But before we do, we've got a small favor to ask. If you enjoy our content, please support us by subscribing. It's just one click for you, but it means the world to us. Thanks! Now let's begin. How did it all begin? The franchise started with Pitch Black, which, if we're being honest, was a modest sci-fi action horror flick directed by Toei and co-written by brothers Ken and Jim Wheat. Believe us when we tell you that Pitch Black was never planned to inspire an entire cinematic universe, so one can only wonder how it did end up spawning 2 full-length movies, another one on its way, and an animated short film, plenty of video games, motion comics, and dare we disregard the novelizations? Shot on a modest budget of $23 million, Pitch Black was a sleeper hit that quickly established Vin Diesel's Riddick as the franchise's eponymous character. Ardent fans of the franchise will agree with us when we say that Pitch Black still exists as an entirely isolated chapter in the Riddick saga, one that throws in very little to the story of our anti-hero. The compact and self-contained storyline lets Pitch Black exist on its own, while its world and characters have opened the way for other imposing stories. Back in the year 2002, Toei had disclosed in an interview that it was only after the studio had perceived that it was being done with other film franchises of the time that the Chronicles of Riddick and Riddick were given the green light. It's also true that while the studio had initially turned down Toei's pitch for a moderately ambitious sequel, they reassessed and took on board Toei. In due course, Toei figured out that the studio was more than eager to go ahead with their own multi-world epic, and also pretty much ready to explore a 3-movie installment with Vin Diesel as the titular Riddick. The Chronicles of Riddick, which serves as the sequel to Pitch Black, is set 5 years after the events of the 2000 film. In terms of the storyline, The Chronicles of Riddick categorically dives deeper into the world and its lore, putting Riddick right at the core of the universe-spanning crusade. Of course, the second film features an extreme shift in tone, as well as scope, while also elaborating on the troubled world of its tortured anti-hero. From Pitch Black to its odd sequel, everything we know. You'll be surprised that Toei was given almost no money to bring Pitch Black to life. Given the film's $23 million budget, it was pretty evident that the film was not starring any household names. Diesel was still a future star back then, and it was undoubtedly Toei's Pitch Black that put him on the map. Full credits to Toei for using the element of color as his primary weapon, soaking the film in a fiery orange palette when the survivors crash land on the isolated desert planet, and then transforming the palette into sepia blue when the planet's suns shift. When you start watching Pitch Black, it will initially appear to you like it's some kind of survival story, one that has people crash landing literally in the middle of nowhere. Of course, the storyline becomes more intriguing when we're introduced to a dangerous convict, and more so when he manages to escape from his confinement. With Riddick escaping, Pitch Black becomes a man versus man thing, where everyone is made to face the brutalities of the inhospitable planet and the realization that there's a violent convict loose amongst them. Pitch Black turns the tables completely after the suns go down, with the movie setting in motion the menace of the highly aggressive and acutely photosensitive predatory winged creatures. Pitch Black eventually became a hit, which in turn led to its sequel getting approved and thereby bringing Toei and Diesel back to the franchise. That being said, The Chronicles of Riddick turned out to be drastically different from its predecessor, so much so that they barely resembled one another. The odd sequel was followed by The Chronicles of Riddick Dark Fury, which was an animated short film that did its best to connect the action of Pitch Black and The Chronicles of Riddick. A video game based on the Riddick series titled The Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay was also released, which sort of acted as a prequel to Pitch Black. By then, the whole thing had already become a franchise, which was further cemented with the addition of the 2013 sci-fi action film Riddick. The 4th installment, titled Riddick Furia, was officially announced in February 2023, and the fans of the franchise are only waiting with bated breath to see how the storyline unfolds. Does Pitch Black still hold up? It's safe to say that Toei's Pitch Black is a classic you can watch over and over. For one, it's super entertaining, and perfectly balances thrills, scares, and suspense. The setting is very appealing, and the steady build-up is quite similar to John Carpenter's The Thing, giving us an ominous sense of dread and throwing clues every now and then that something very bad had happened in the past and is about to happen again. What works wonders in favor of the movie is the creatures on display that are known as bioraptors. They irrefutably happen to be the high points of the film, along with Riddick in his signature black goggles. Marvelous verdict. Well, that's all for today, and with this, we finally come to the end of our video here. So, who here is a fan of the Riddick franchise? Have you seen Pitch Black? We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Also, just in case you have yet to watch the film, be assured that it absolutely deserves your time. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Please leave a thumbs up and stay tuned with us as we promise to come back with more exciting content. Till then, goodbye and thanks for watching. Have a nice one!